hit record and call this meeting to order. Happy Friday to all of you, and welcome to the Chamber's first ever virtual Women's Luncheon. It's so good to see each of you. The Zoom room is filled with some of my favorite people in the world, and I cannot wait to be with you all in person again. It means so much that you would take the time to be with us here today. Okay, today's luncheon is unique. In fact, there's no lunch. However, we are gathering together midday as we originally planned, and each of you should have received a gift package delivered to your home. Do y'all have that with you? If not, let's go ahead and get it, because now is the time to open it. Go ahead and open it. I want you to have it right from the start. I see Janine opening hers. Who's had a sneak peek already? Did most people save it? While you're opening, I am going to give a quick rundown of today's agenda for the meeting. Here in just a minute, we're going to be hearing from Laura Casey of Cultivate What Matters. And after her talk with us, we'll have a bit of question and answer time with her. You can submit questions and talk with each other in the chat. In the second half of our program, we're going to move into small group conversations, allowing you to network and connect with others in the room. We'll randomize our breakout room sessions with 6 people in each room, and unfortunately, you cannot pick who you're going to be with in your room. But I have no doubt, as it always happens with our chamber functions, that you will make at least one meaningful connection with your time here today. All right, are y'all opening the box? I want you to know that Paige Morrow of Extraordinary Ventures is on our call here today, and she and her team made the packing and delivery of these boxes possible. Paige, I am so grateful for you and your team. Yep, Carver Coffee Roasters. I'm so grateful for you and your team, Extraordinary Ventures, Paige. Without your partnership for this event, it wouldn't be as special. You'll see each box includes 1 6-month undated power sheets from Laura at Cultivate What Matters. That's going to come into play today. Paige included a gift of a 10 candle and a soap from Extraordinary Ventures. Scott from Carver Coffee Roasters included a sample bag of coffee. We all know that we love our coffee here at the Chamber. There's a cloth mask from Laura and Wendy at the Scrap Exchange, and they're on the call with us here today. And you can order more of these through their website, and also crafted gift boxes from them online as well. There's a pack of 3 buñuelos from our friend Jamie at Epilogue. These do have flour, they're not gluten-free, so I know that's the case for some of you. You'll have to share them with household members. There's a sample box of 2 chocolate brigadeiros from Daniela at Choco Sweetness, and Daniela's on the call here with us today. And then our friends at State Farm, Connolly included a coffee mug, Pam a jar gripper, and Ola provided a purse and a pen for you to write in your journal with, or your planner with. I really can't say thank you enough for all of our gift sponsors today. Please take a moment, learn more about these local businesses. And if you want to say thank you back to them, you can do it by purchasing from them in the future. Thank you all for your special gift. Okay, today's virtual luncheon is a quarterly program of the Chamber, presented and underwritten by the women of State Farm, Pam Herndon, Ola Stinnett, and Connolly Walker. These are 3 amazing business and community leaders who are all certainly good neighbors. Everyone needs insurance, but it's only a truly helpful investment if it's done properly. If you have questions about your current coverage and what would happen to you and your loved ones in scenario planning, I really want to encourage you to reach out to one of these ladies today. Don't wait. They are all happy to simply review and explain the nuances of insurance with you so that you can rest easy knowing your coverage is a real security blanket. I trust them myself. All right, Laura is here with us, and let's go ahead and move to today's keynote speaker. We have Laura Casey of Cultivate What Matters here to guide us today. Laura is a member of the Chamber, and she's local here to Chapel Hill. She's the author of 2 books, Make It Happen and Cultivate. And as you know, I consider her to be a teacher and a leader that I personally look up to and admire myself. Laura is passionate about helping people get unstuck and unrushed and live on purpose instead of by accident. To help with those things, she's created the Power Sheets, which is a grace-filled guide to setting goals. And you have that in your gift box today. This year is nothing like we expected, both personally and professionally. And Laura is here to speak to us on that today. We'll have question and answer time afterwards, as I mentioned before, so please post in the chat the questions that you have as they arise. Laura, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Ladies, it is a joy to see all of your smiling faces. This is a close second to being in person. I know we all want to just, I'm saving up lots of bear hugs. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the bear hugs have been saved up for way too many weeks. It's so good to see you all. And it's neat to see some familiar faces and businesses that I've trusted for many years since living here in Chapel Hill. So today is not going to be your typical speaking. I'm not here to just talk at you. I'm hoping that you will talk back to me. Please do use that comment window. I have the comment window open right now. And if you haven't already pulled your Power Sheets out of your box, go ahead and do that right now. Go ahead and do that. You can open those up. And just want to thank the Chamber again for inviting me. Thank you to the ladies of State Farm for sponsoring today. It's just a joy to get to spend time with you all. Okay, let's get started. Like you said, Rebecca, so beautifully, our plans have not gone as planned this year in any way, shape, or form. Your plans have not gone as planned, and I'm guessing in some ways, whether personally or professional or both, you might be feeling a little bit stuck in a rut, perhaps. So I'd love to see in the comments how many people are feeling that way. Stuck in a rut. You can also, if you've not used Zoom before, there's a reactions button down there. You can choose a thumbs up or a clap, or whatever reaction you feel like is appropriate. Yes, I think we're all feeling stuck in a rut. There is so much information swirling around. I imagine a lot of you have had to pivot in your businesses and things have been changed. Just really excited to hear your thoughts today. So in the comments or in the reactions, tell me how you're feeling. Let's just start with this. There's no guilt needed for any goal or any plan that did not go as planned this year. Let's just take a deep breath for a second. Because you might have had a perfectly written out list of goals as you started 2020. 2020 was going to be your year. And then it did not go as planned. But there's no guilt needed. I mean, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. It's okay. It is okay and normal to feel however you're feeling about goals. So I'd like for us to start here. How are you feeling about your goals? Please use the chat window for me. How are you feeling about goals? Thank you. Joan, you said trying to ride the roller coaster. Exactly. Jessica, thanks. You said I'm feeling super out of control. If I could just see the future. I know, I feel that way too. It's like grasping at straws many times. Stalled, Michelle said, yeah, keep these thoughts coming, because what I don't want to have happen today is that you spend your lunch hour with us. You've got this delightful gift box. You've spent all this time to be here, and you don't walk away with any actionable steps. And there is power in handwriting and in also typing things out. It helps your brain to start processing decisions about those things. So let's give ourselves a firm foundation here. Nervous, Claudette, thanks for sharing. These are great answers. Lydia, trying to help our community get through this crisis together. Yes, and thank you for the work that you're doing there. Scotty, I like to have a plan, but hard to plan. Yes, I'm gonna high five you through the screen. I totally agree with that right now. Pam, feeling nervous. All of these answers, these are so good. And I just want us to acknowledge right now too that as you share your answer, I think it's probably giving someone else a little bit of comfort. So this is what this community is all about. This is why I love the Chamber. I love how you all bring people together so that we don't feel alone in these things. And so we can network together and start to build each other up, because we are going to build each other up. So this is great. Ellen, you said revised goals, reprioritizing. Oh, so good. Thank you. Keep those thoughts coming. We are facing a year. We're in a year. I can't even say we're facing it. We're smack dab in the middle of it, both personally and professionally. That's nothing like what we expected. So I'm going to talk today very quickly about how to pivot on your goals and make the most of this time. And let's just take the pressure off too. People always assume that since I am a goal person, this is what I do for my work, that I am like super caffeinated and I'm an overachiever and I'm going to just tell you to get off your chair and do all the things. I'm not. I've lived that. And it just totally drove me into the ground. It really did. I was burning the candle at both ends. And now I know, and what we teach at Cultivate What Matters and what we live is that little by little by little good things grow. And we're all about progress, not perfection, because truly any good pursuit, and for me, especially in business, any good pursuit is going to take time. It's going to take a foundation, and it's never going to be perfect. How many of you, give me a hand raise here or an emoji or whatever in the comments, how many of you have learned more from times of challenge than you have from times of success? Anyone? How many of you have actually learned a whole lot from times when you have bit off more than you could chew and you stopped yourself? I love the smiles I'm getting right now. You know. How many of you have learned more from times you've bitten off more than you could chew and you realized, oh, wait a minute, this is not what life is all about. I'm not going to be able to really build a strong business here or a life trying to do it all. So I just want to tell you that right off the bat. I am not that person. I am not going to be telling you to bite off more than you can chew. What I am going to push you on, though, is to focus and to choose what really matters and then to let go of all the rest. That's how we've found success in life and in business, is to focus, especially right now. All right, so the things that matter most to you, have they changed in since this all began in April or March? The things that matter most to you, have they changed? I'd love to hear some thoughts. Type those out in the comments. You know, this time it's taken a lot of things away from us. For many, it's taken away jobs. It's taken away security. It's taken away loved ones. It's taken away so many things. But the one thing it's given us is perspective. You know more now about what matters and what doesn't than you ever did before. We have all been faced in some way, and we don't like to talk about this, so I'm just going to take us there. Can I take us there for a minute? We don't like to talk about this, but we've all been faced in this pandemic with thinking about the end of life. I mean, if we're honest about it, we've thought that. We thought to ourselves at one moment, you know what? What if I get this virus? What if it's me? And we've had a moment where we thought to ourselves, oh, wow, if that were to be me, am I living my life for the right things? Is my work focused on the right things? Am I distracted? What really matters? I love your thoughts. So good, guys. So good. Yes. Desiree, you said no, the things that matter have not changed. This reinforces quality of life. Family relationships are most important. That's great. And there are no wrong answers here. So maybe for you, they have changed and you've seen more clearly what matters. All right, so it's time to do something about it. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want to do something about it. You know more what matters. Now it's time to take some action. So I'm going to give you 3 steps. 3 really simple steps. Highly encourage you to take some paper notes to get unstuck, to move forward in a new way, and to pivot on your goals, whether those are personal or professional. Now, number 1 is, and I think you're going to like this because it's Friday and we all like this. Number 1 is to step away and to get refreshed. Now, why do I start with that? So I run a multi-million-dollar company, and the number 1 key to our success is refreshment. We have to step away to get perspective, especially right now, because it's really easy to get into that narrow mindset of, oh man, I don't know if our business is going to make it, and I see these 45% downturns, and I still have laundry to do, and my kids are like at my feet. It's really easy to get overwhelmed. But even if it's 5 minutes a day to step outside, to breathe some of that fresh North Carolina air, get some perspective. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're constantly going and going. Our brains, they can only process heavy information and do intense projects for 4 hours a day. How many of you try to use more than those 4 hours? How many of us try to be fully on in our work for more than those full 4 hours? And I'm not saying that I work 4 hours in my workday. I don't. I work almost 8 to 9 hours every day. But there are only 4 hours a day that I can know for sure that I'm going to have full brain power and be able to process complex solutions. So you got to break free. Now, let's talk about some practical ways to do that. And I want you to start to brainstorm. What are ways that you can fuel yourself so that you can make better decisions during this time? For me, I take walks a lot. I get up from my desk. I'm using a standing desk converter thing, which you can also just do with a bunch of shoe boxes. In fact, you've just been given a really great gift box. Start to stack those up, guys. Standing helps our brains to have 15% more blood flow. So what can you do during your day, your work day, or just your life days to help find some refreshment? I take a lot of walks. I'm going to give you a pro tip too. If you ever really want to talk things out, but you don't have anybody to talk to, is you stick your headphones in while you're walking and you pretend like you're on the phone. And that's what I do, guys. That's what I do. I sometimes will take a walk and I'm like, man, I really just need to get this out. I need to process this. And I will just talk to myself, as crazy as that sounds. But I tell you what, when you let the thoughts swirl in your brain, y'all know how that feels. How does it feel? When you feel like there's just so much on your mind, how does that feel? Tell me in the comments. Maybe it's at nighttime when you lay your head on a pillow and it's like that pig pen cloud from the Peanuts cartoon that follows you around. You know what I'm talking about? It's exhausting. Yes, you bet. It is absolutely exhausting. So you have to be your own best advocate. And I'm harping on this right now for a reason, because what's the alternative? What's the alternative? How have y'all felt in times that you have not stepped away even for 5 minutes during the day to get perspective? Is that helping you to live out what matters in your personal life? Is it helping you to be the leader you were made to be? Is it helping you to move forward in business decisions? I mean, I know I'm asking a rhetorical question. It's not. And so it's counterintuitive. It is not what we think is the solution to moving forward really well, right? We think, and I know especially as ladies, we can tend to think this a lot, is that I just need to do more. I just need to check more things off my to-do list and then I'm going to feel better. No, take at least 5 minutes a day for yourself and break free. And also, like I mentioned earlier, there's so much research around handwriting. Even just the act of writing down your thoughts, writing down your to-dos, writing down the things that matter most to you, it starts to help your brain to process information and you make decisions about those things. So maybe it's that you're a talker, you need to talk it out like I do. Maybe it's that you need to write things down. Your power sheets that you have in front of you are going to be that tool to help you do that, to help you process those things and move forward with clarity. So good. Love all these thoughts, everyone. It's great. So number one tip is to renew your mind. The things that matter most have not changed. How we live them out in each time period of our lives does change. You know, we were made for seasons. If you just even look outside, I love living in Chapel Hill for this reason. I love the seasons, and the seasons reflect back to us how we are supposed to be too. We can't do 2 or 3 springs in a row, right? What if we did that? My plants outside, I'm a big gardener. I'm an unlikely gardener, but I love gardening. My plants, they couldn't do 3 springs in a row. They actually have to have a winter to rest and to pull energy into those bulbs so that they can bloom again in the spring, right? It's the same with us. So have I convinced you yet? Because I'm preaching to myself here too. I constantly need reminders to slow down, to take a deep breath, and know that it's actually going to affect my bottom line. A little bit about our business in this time to give you some perspective on how this really works out. We sell paper is what we do. We have a warehouse in the great state of Arkansas. We do have an office building here that obviously we're not in right now. I'm here in my home office in Chapel Hill. And we are a multimedia online retail platform for women. We sell everything from the goal planner you have in your hands to Bible journals, so many things. And so what we do is we are content marketers. We're constantly producing content and pieces about how to live with intention and how to set goals and many other things. And clearly, all of our lifestyles have changed during this time. So for us in business, the moment this happened, we had to immediately cancel a conference and completely pivot on all of our messaging. And when I say completely pivot, I mean like we have been working double the hours we normally work in order to listen to our community. And listening comes through so many different social platforms we have, or directly through email campaigns or whatever it may be. But we've had to pivot by listening. Now, how many of you have maybe multiple family members that come over for a Thanksgiving, or maybe you've got lots of kids at home, or you've got a big team? How does it feel when everyone is talking at you at one time? Anyone? How does that feel? When like everyone is saying, I really need you to do this and pass the peas, and Yes, Giselle, it's crazy. It's bad. Thank you, Jessica. So good. So for us, in this time period where we are trying to serve women and help them to cultivate what matters right where they are, it's taken a lot from us to listen to thousands of women across the world. And that means that I, as a leader, have had to prioritize wellness for my team. A lot of my teammates too, they have kids at home, they're homeschooling all of a sudden. We have had to prioritize that because if we can't live it out, we can't give it to other people. And it's been hard. I'm not saying we're doing it perfectly, but I hope this encourages you too, that we have seen, and when I say success, I'm not just talking about monetary success here. To us, success is about people. We look at the profit of people first, but we have seen success in that way of meeting women right where they are, building one-to-one relationships because we are fighting to fuel ourselves first. So I hope that encourages you to do the same. Step number 2, so step number 1 is to refresh. Just give yourself some sort of fuel to begin with. You cannot draw water from an empty well, right? Step number 2, use this clarity. Now that you know so much more about what matters and what doesn't, you do. You have more clarity about this in this time period than perhaps you've ever had in life. You got to use it. It's entirely possible that your best goals are going to come from this time. Just let that sink in for a second. It is entirely possible with all of the busy stripped away from us. I mean, for me, I have 3 kids. I have 2 4-year-olds and an 8-year-old. I run a really busy business and a team of 12 women across the country. And we were going to Bouncing Bulldogs jump rope practice in the afternoon, and I have kids at all different schools. I homeschool one of them part-time. With all of the busy stripped away from us, I've started to see my goals so much more clearly. And I know everyone's different. This might be, like I have had, a time where you are spending so much more time trying to figure things out, or perhaps you have a spouse who's lost a job right now, or perhaps you have more time on your hands than you ever thought. We're all in different places, but the one thing we have in common is we are much more clear, like I said, about the things that matter in the big picture, and we're going to use that clarity today. So I want to encourage you to set some new goals with this new perspective. And again, you've got the tool in front of you. The power sheets will walk you through a step-by-step process to uncover what matters. I'm so excited that we have these in your hands. And thank you to whomever coordinated getting all these boxes out. That's pretty amazing, a logistical feat. It's really amazing. I'm so excited to walk alongside each of you in this journey too. And I'm going to give you a quick resource too. I have a video series to help you with this and to help you dig into your power sheets at cultivatewhatmatters.com/prep. Go over to cultivatewhatmatters.com/prep and you'll see a bunch of videos there. But use this time, use this clarity. That's all I have for that. Use this time, use this clarity. Because here's what's going to happen. The world is going to speed up again. It is. And what we don't want to have happen is that you lose the perspective that you gained here. Whether that means writing it down, making new goals, make yourself aware of the good things from this time. I certainly have found so many good things in this time. The closeness I've had with my kids, the closer relationship I have with my husband who works at the hospital at UNC. I felt like every day I send him off to work is like sending him off to deployment. And in that, our relationship has grown so much stronger. So we're using this. I'm writing down the things that matter most. Step number 3 is the best. It's to take small steps. Again, this is all about progress, not perfection, and your power sheets are going to help you do that. The reason I created them is because I was in a place 8 years ago where I had a new baby, a growing business. We were publishing Southern Weddings magazine at the time, in addition to this business I have now. And I had so many things on my plate, just like you all, There's so many things that we tend to during the day, right? And I sat down with it and I was like, I can't take it anymore. I need to make a list. Any list lovers out there? You just need to get it all out of your head. Okay, thank you to the list lovers. So I sat down at my desk and I wrote out a list of all of the things that were important to me. And it was everything from, at the time, making sure I put some content on my Facebook page to taking care of my daughter, like all the things that needed a little love now and then. And I called it my tending list because it is like growing plants. If you just tend to them little by little by little over time, it really adds up. All right, we're gonna do a little math exercise. Someone tell me how many days are left in this year. Anybody? Someone tell me how many days are left in this year. Now here's the thing that we do, and you may have already done this. How many people just jump ship on their goals? during the season. They just said, well, they didn't go as planned. I'm just going to throw them out the window, and maybe for good reasons. So anyone, let me see a little like hand raise or something. How many people jump ship on some, or maybe you've done it in the past where you didn't follow through on a goal because perhaps you felt, thank you, great. And thank you, Erica, 232 days, great. Maybe you felt like, well, I already messed up on this goal on January 2nd. I'm just going to give up. Anyone done that before? I'm going to raise 2 hands. Thank you. Great. It's really easy to feel like if you don't do it perfectly the first or second or third time, and this goes for business goals and personal alike, that, oh, well, I should just give up. Now let's use our math here. So good. 229 days. Oh, we have a math discrepancy. We have a math discrepancy. 230, guys. Someone tell me the real number. Let's just pretend it's 230. We'll take the average. So if you were over the next 230 days to only tend to one of your goals, maybe it's a personal goal or maybe it's a business goal. Maybe you need to put up some social media content or something. If you only did it once a week and not every day, would it add up over time? If, say, you were to tend to a goal for 100 out of those 230 days this year, maybe it's a fitness goal you have, or you want to get up and walk for 10 minutes during your workday, will that add up over time? If you were to even spend 100 of those 230 days, yes, right? I know this is kind of like a light bulb for me because I am very much a perfectionist. But yes, the answer is absolutely yes. And I love the debate we have going on about the number of days left. It's great, ladies. I love it. But the point is that good things can grow over time. And when you think about it, anything you've accomplished in your life that's worthy of anything, has it happened perfectly? Did it happen like in a perfect step by step, I made every move perfectly? No. It did not. I'm looking at many of you, and I imagine there were a lot of challenges and a lot of setbacks that made you stronger. There is no such thing as perfect progress. I've studied this for the last 10 years. There is no such thing as perfect progress. There is only imperfect progress. And when we recognize that, again, whether personal or in business, oh man, it just opens up so much for us. And I'll just share a quick little anecdote. For us, when I was publishing Southern Weddings, we just retired the magazine last year to focus on the growth we've seen in Cultivate What Matters. But when I was publishing Southern Weddings, there was a domain name that I really needed. I needed southernweddings.com. We had a different domain before. And the gal who owned it was a wedding planner in South Carolina, and she was not about to give it up. And I thought to myself, though, if I could just have this domain name, so many women out there would come to see our website much more easily than they could now. And our mission would take flight. I would be able to have people come, and our mission for Southern Weddings was to help couples plan a meaningful beginning to married life, not just a wedding day. And so I persisted. She said no to me, and I let it go for a little while, but then I came back to it and said, look, for our mission, this really would help us so much. And I just have to tell you in very short form that she said no to me at least 8 more times. And I wasn't annoying, but I was compelling. And eventually she did say yes, and it ended up being a huge blessing for her too. But the point is that if at first you don't succeed, you try again. And all of you ladies, you're so resilient. You have grown so much, I'm sure, even over the last year. Instead of falling down 8 times and only staying there, you're going to fall down 8 times and get up 9 times, right? You're going to fall down 8 times and get up 9 times. So you got to take small steps. Anything starts with small steps. I'd love to hear in the comments for your particular business or whatever niche you're in right now. If you were to think way back to the very first small step you took in order to get where you are right now, what was that small step? I know it might be hard to remember, but perhaps it was looking up information about a degree you needed for your role. Or perhaps it was sending an email to someone to say, hey, I have this crazy business idea. What do you think about this? Perhaps it was applying for a job and now you're in that role right now. Having a mentor. This is great. Great answers. Making that phone call. I love it. Jessica, volunteering for a project that other people didn't want to do. Amy, so good. And hi, Amy. Hi, I know Amy from many years. Saying your idea out loud. I'm so glad you did. Michelle, applying to a job in the US as I was graduating from university in Canada. Amazing. Let us not negate the power of small steps, especially right now. You never know if that step you take right now, that step taken in the knowledge of the things that matter so much to you, again, whether personal or business, is going to be the thing that catapults you forward to perhaps your best goals and your best life ahead. This is great. Great answers, everyone. So I want you to take that step. What is, and I know you're like, oh, don't hold me to anything. Don't make me accountable to anything, Laura. I just came here for lunch. But I just want you to just imagine for a moment, if each of us, and let's see how many of you are on this call right now, almost 100, right? 76. If each of us were to take one tiny little step forward, and when I say tiny, I mean like really tiny, like maybe it's just sending an email or saying your idea out loud or moving that thing forward that's been lingering on your list for so long. Or maybe it's a personal thing and you really just need to actually fold the laundry so that you can put it away instead of just calling the laundry done because it came out of the dryer and it's in the bin. I know how that goes. Whatever it is, what is the one thing that you're going to do today? It's only noon. So you got to make it really small, but I'd love to hear in the comments. And I know it's scary sometimes to write these things out because then you got to do them. But what's one thing that you could do today? And if you're stuck on that, I'm going to give you some perspective. Constantly throughout the course of my career, I've always come back to one question. And I'm going to ask you that question right now that may help illuminate what your one step might be today. What's going to matter to you in the big picture and what's not going to matter to you in the big picture? If you were to imagine yourself when you are 80 or 90 or 100 years old, and you look back on the whole of your life, what are you going to be so grateful you spent your time on? And if that's hard to imagine, what are you going to be grateful you didn't spend your time on? When you have that big picture in clear view, then you feel pretty compelled to start acting like it today, right? So for me, when I look at the big picture, the things that aren't going to matter is basically anything around approval, like what people thought of me, unless reputation is part of that. That's very important to me, and respect is very important to me. But if it's something like people thought I was, I don't know, smart or whatever it is, that's not going to matter to me. What's going to matter to me is relationships. What's going to matter to me is, for me personally, cultivating the hearts of my children and leaving a legacy to the women that are in our community and building one-to-one relationships. And I've asked this question of thousands of women across the last 10 years. And typically the answers center around relationships. The things that matter most to us typically center around relationships. This is so great. I love your answers. So good. And I want to come play in your sprinklers too. That sounds great, Jennifer. So to close us out here, when you think about the big picture, what's the one thing that you could do today to help move you towards that? What's the one thing that you could do today? For me, again, small steps, they matter, as evidenced by what you identified with what brought you to where you are now, starting with a small step. For me, it could be something as small as just hugging my kids after I'm done with you guys. That's it. Just hugging my kids. And does that matter? Does that add up? Yes. Like we said with our math game here, 100 steps forward in the next 230 days are absolutely going to add up. And over a lifetime, they change a lifetime. So now you know, number one is to get some perspective, whether that means just to step outside of wherever you are right now after we're done together, take a breath, turn your phone off for just 5 minutes, get some perspective. Number two is to use the clarity you have right now. And I know there are things that are not clear right now, but we're going to put those aside for a second. There's so much unknown still, but what is clear to you right now? And then number three is you're going to take small steps starting today, taking a small step. I love this. Great answers, everyone. So good. You have been given, to use a gardening analogy, you've been given new seeds to plant. And I want you to plant those seeds because it matters. It matters. I really wish I could be in person with you, all of you, to give you a big hug and hear your stories too and learn more about your businesses. But I know for a fact that the work you do, whether that's in your home or in an office building, it matters, especially right now, because here's what the world needs. Here's what our community needs. They need hope, right? Our community needs hope. And you have the power to give that to them little by little through the things that you have right in your hands. So you've got seeds. And what happens if I just hold on to the seeds in my garden and never open up my hands? Nothing gets planted, right? And the encouragement I'll give you is this, that this is the perfect season for small steps, because big steps can be a little difficult. They're a little harder than usual in some ways. Good things grow over time, just like our gardens. So dig in, and you're going to be so glad that you did. And to some, take care of yourself, renew your mind. You're going to have to fight for that, right? I have to fight to turn the news off. Give hope to others in the tiniest ways you can. Thank you again for the gift box. That was a little spot of hope. It was delightful, all those lovely things. Help others see the light through the trees right now. When you decide to cultivate what matters, it starts a ripple effect, and other people feel it too. And you may uncover your best goals here. You just might. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to answer some questions. And to close, I just want to remind you that it's okay to grow slow. It's okay to feel distracted and overwhelmed in this time. It's understandable. It's okay to start over on your goals. It's also okay to love the new goals you set more than the ones you set on January 1st. It's okay to simplify. Let's say that again. It's okay to simplify. It's okay to not do it all. It's okay to fill your cup, because it's going to help you fill others' cups. It's okay to take big leaps of faith, and it's okay to pivot. It's okay if you're making progress right now that you never thought you'd make. Many of you maybe are making great progress on goals. And it's also okay to feel fear, but what we want that fear to do is to lead us to faith. It's okay to make a new plan. It's okay to take small steps, and it's okay to grow slow. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. So good. I
So
love this.
All of you. Thanks
chat.
for all of the thoughts in the comments. You guys made this wonderful.
Yes. Does anybody have, let's take a moment. Does anybody have specific questions that you want to ask Laura? I'm going to take a moment while we wait for those questions to just show you all. I've got personally, can I show it through the background? I don't know if it's going to work or not. My annual, I have the teal one. Yes. With the golds. So this is mine. And also there's a celebrations binder, if I can get it right in the light, that Laura does. One of my goals for this year was to celebrate well with my family, which has been quite interesting given the different things. And then this is her, I have to hold it just weirdly, so please understand, but this is the Write the Word journal, and I find that very helpful right now as well. So
That's
thank
awesome.
you for all of the guidance and teaching that you offer. Okay, I am not seeing any questions in the chat at the moment other than just wonderful thank yous and a nice talk about writing on stationery. I love it.
I love it. I love it. I love that, Scotty. That's so great. Okay, great question. Jessica, what are your favorite books or podcasts that inspire you? Such a great question. Okay, I'm a weirdo. I don't listen to podcasts. I know that's so strange, but I work from home, and I don't really have time. I don't have a commute. My commute is up and down my stairs. Typically, even my office building is about a block away from my house. So I don't typically listen to podcasts. I do a lot of podcast interviews, and I have my own podcast, the Cultivate Your Life podcast, that I love making. I take us out in the garden every week, and it's so much fun. But the reason I say that is because one of the things that you can do during this season to prevent failure and to keep yourself focused on what matters most is to limit the amount of information you consume, and to limit or be more specific and selective with what you're allowing your brain to be fed by. And so for me, if I have any extra time, I'm trying to spend it out in the garden away from headphones. But the things that I do love listening to audiobooks. I just had a great chat with Sarah McKenzie from Read Aloud Revival yesterday, and we love great kids books. So I tend to be reading kids books with my kiddos. Heidi has been a big favorite lately. But I'm also listening to a book right now on audio by the author called Get Out of Your Head. book called Get Out of Your Head, all about overcoming anxiety and doing that through scripture. And it is awesome. It's by Jenny Allen, so highly recommend. But there are great podcasts out there. I just don't know any to tell you about except for my own. I'm sorry.
Laura, do you have a moment to tell us about your new location that
Yes.
got a little circumvented by the coronavirus?
Yes. I know, so sad. We literally moved in the week before the pandemic began. And it's a beautiful space. We have a retail space in the Governor's Village area, brand new building there next to Bold Construction and Core 4 Fitness. And we were planning on having a ribbon cutting, I think, this week with the chamber, and just didn't happen. So we're excited. We are going to be offering some kind of part-time retail. It's mostly our office space. And like I said, I have a team of 12. About 8 of us work in office, and we have ladies in various other states that have been with me for a long time too. So more details to come once we're able to open back up.
Great. And then finally, my last question for you is, will you tell us a little bit about your in-person conference that has moved months to September?
Yes, so we actually just announced that we are not doing that in person this year, which is very sad. We love the Carolina Inn. But just with lots of restrictions that continue and many people, attendees who have immune issues, we've decided to do it online, and we're actually really excited about it. So yes, the Making Things Happen conference is in the month of July. I have to say I'm blanking on the days right now, but you can go to makingthingshappen.com or go to cultivatewhatmatters.com and you can find details there. And that conference is really about digging deep. So we spend 2 days uncovering what matters on the first day, whether it's business or personal. And then walking through the Power Sheets process in many ways, uncovering what matters, making an action plan and moving forward. And we have women from all various disciplines, from funeral directors to graphic designers to stay-at-home moms. The unifying factor is a desire to change and desire to live your life for what matters most. So excited about that conference. Thanks for asking.
Great.
And I think I saw another question up here from Lisa. Lisa, you said, how do you cultivate your surroundings inside at this time? How do you bring more joy into the home? You know, Lisa, this is a great question. I think very similar, like clearly we have a lot of stuff in various places, but I think very similar, and maybe a lot of you felt this way too when this whole thing began, is we're at home so much more. The stuff is so overwhelming. So to me, the best thing is to get rid of things you don't need. I know that sounds like an obvious answer, but the thing that really helps us, especially right now, is putting into place what I call nudges. So for example, maybe you're thinking to yourself, the thing that's been distracting me the most is Netflix lately. And yet you keep that remote control by your bed. That is a nudge that is making it really easy for you to watch TV at night. So if you put positive nudges throughout your house, maybe it's reminders of things that matter most. I have this Post-it here from my daughter that says, "I love you, Mommy." I love that so much. Just little tiny things, little Polaroid picture of her here. I have an open Bible on my desk, you know, photographs, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a lot of things, but if there are things that you very intentionally place in your home that are reminders of that big picture that you all so beautifully uncovered, that help you to think about, oh, that's what matters when I'm 80 or 90 or 100 years old. I'll tell you that the most precious thing that I have in my house is and I wish I could go grab it for you, but is a photograph of my great-grandmother Irene standing in a cornfield with a big basket on her arm, and she's picking the corn one by one. And, you know, they went through the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. And so when I look at that right now, that photograph, I may have chills telling you about it. When I look at that photograph, I think of her resilience. I think of how she kept all of her kids home, and they clearly had very little modern conveniences. They grew all their own food. And things like that bring me joy in my home. They remind me of strength and resilience and legacy. So I also have a lot of content on my blog this week, especially if you go over to lauracasey.com/blog about legacy in general, and things you can do, very practical things you can do right now to start to cultivate that even in your home. So thanks for that question. It was great.
So good. Thank you again, Laura, for being here with us today. We can share your contact information and your team's contact information if people want to follow up with you directly after this event.
It was delightful. Thank you all. I love seeing all your smiling faces, and I hope I get to either meet you in person at some point soon or give you a hug when hugs are allowed. I keep thinking I need to get like a plastic sheet and we need to just figure out the hugs. So thank you very much, Rebecca, and to all the chamber members too for having me. This has been a delight.
It means so much to be in community with you. Thank you.
I'm so grateful for you, Rebecca. Thank you.
Okay, it is 12:20 now. So let's take a moment to talk to one another. Let's do the part of this meeting that is going into smaller breakout rooms. So we'll have about 6 people. Vanessa's gonna lead us here. Our goal is just to connect with each other, just like you would at an in-person event. So we'll have about 6 people in a room. We're gonna send you there for 12 minutes. So by doing the math, it's about 2 minutes per person. So that you can all have a chance to talk and get to know one another. Again, these are randomized rooms, so you can't choose who you'll be with, but I am confident in the Chamber's magic and the magic of gathering that you will get a good connection, a person that you want to talk with today in your room. If you, as you go in, introduce yourself, who you're with, your name, what business or how you got connected to today's event. And let's talk briefly about what big picture item came to mind for you as Laura was talking.